Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there's a prayer I pray over my constituency and over our province. It comes from Psalms 46. As I rise today to give my response to the speech from the throne, I pray this prayer over Yorkton and Saskatchewan. God is our place of safety. He gives us strength. He is always there to help us in times of trouble. The earth may fall apart, the mountains may fall into the middle of the sea, but we will not fear. The waters of the sea may roar and foam, the mountains may shake at its swelling, but we will not be afraid. God's blessings are like a river. They fill the city of God with joy. That city is the holy place where the Most High God lives. Because God is there, the city will not fall. God will help it at the break of day. Nations are in disorder. Kingdoms fall. God speaks, and the people of the earth melt in fear. The Lord who rules over all is with us. The God of Jacob is our place of safety and strength. Come and see what the Lord has done, the desolations he has brought on the earth. He makes wars stop from one end of the earth to the other. He breaks every bow, he snaps every spear, he burns every shield with fire. He says, "Be still, and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations, I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our place of safety and strength." Amen. Strong, safe, secure. That is the theme, Mr. Speaker, of this year's throne speech. Strong economy, safe communities, secure future. Once again, Mr. Speaker, this government demonstrates that it is putting the people of Saskatchewan first, that it is listening, and that it is responsive. And once again, this government is delivering for the people of this province. Strong, safe, secure. This session's legislative agenda is exactly what the folks from Yorkton and across this province want their government to focus on. A strong economy, safe communities, and a secure future. It is exactly what you would expect from a solid, stable government, from steady leadership amidst turbulent times. And we are living in some turbulent times. The challenges our province, our nation, our world is facing are growing. And they directly impact our communities. Continued rising inflation, continued wars, a U.S. empire that is resetting its trade relations all at once. An economic Cold War between the two largest and most powerful nations in the world, the United States and China. And here we are, beautiful, vibrant, industrious Saskatchewan, caught in the middle of an economic conflict between these two giants. While it may be good politics to offer trite solutions or push feel-good slogans, the truth is no easy solution exists, and we are in no way in any position to go toe-to-toe with either of these two heavyweights. Fact is, we need access to the U.S. market and we need access to the Chinese market. But instead, we are facing challenges on both fronts. Canada's tariffs on Chinese EVs has resulted in 100% counter tariffs by China affecting our province's canola, pork, and peas. At the same time, while for now most of our exports to the U.S. are protected under the USMCA agreement, America's next move is anyone's guess. Just days ago, we saw the addition of another 10% to the existing tariffs on Canadian goods. Mr. Speaker, to put it in perspective, Saskatchewan's economy is 1/4% the size of the U.S. economy and less than 0.5% of China's economy. A whopping 80% of our canola exports end up in China and the U.S. We are an export economy, and like it or not, just as with every province in Canada, we depend on these two giants to purchase our exports. So while we can't wage or win a trade war from the subnational level against the U.S., nor negotiate an end to the devastating tariffs by China, what we can do, we have done, and more. In typical Saskatchewan style, we continue to punch above our weight. Our 9 trade offices around the world have been vital in expanding our export markets. As a result, our exports are diversified across 160 countries around the world. This last year alone, we saw trade missions to 15 countries, including China and the U.S. And I'm proud to say that it was our Premier Scott Moe, who didn't wait around for someone else at some other level of government to do something, who didn't spout platitudes or posture on social media, but rather took decisive action, took the initiative to conduct a diplomatic mission to China, the first Premier to do so in 6 years. Mr. Speaker, I believe this was well received by Chinese officials. In fact, I know it was. In Chinese culture, there's a concept called saving face and giving face. Our Premier's actions accomplished both. It saved face for Canada, and it gave face to the Chinese government. In short, it earned us social capital with the Chinese. That leadership mattered. It went a long way in creating positive rapport between our province and the Chinese. It earned Saskatchewan respect. It was the right thing to do for the moment we were in, and it was our Premier who did it. I say with hopeful optimism, our farmers, our industries, and our province will see the benefit in years to come. Mr. Speaker, nowhere is that leadership more appreciated than in Yorkton. Saskatchewan is the world's largest producer of canola, and my constituency, Yorkton, plays a prominent and primary role in that success. With giants like LDC and Richardson both situated in my constituency, we have the largest canola crush operation not only in this province, but in the world. So when the two largest importers of canola wage a trade war, we feel it. We don't have the luxury of ignoring global markets because our livelihoods depend on them, our farmers, our truckers, our small businesses. That's why our government under Premier Moe continues to work with the federal government on the Strong Saskatchewan, Strong Canada plan, and Yorkton plays a key role in that plan. Earlier this summer, the Premier and Cabinet were in Yorkton to announce the government's 50% funding commitment to upgrade Grain Millers Drive, a key piece of economic infrastructure connecting our growing processing sector to the world. While that road technically belongs to the arm of Orkney and the City of Yorkton, our commitment sends a clear message. This project matters, and we're here as a strong partner to get it done. Well, Mr. Speaker, good news begets more good news. Just days after our announcement, Legacy Co-op announced an $18 million truck stop investment along Grain Millers Drive, the largest capital project in its history. That's confidence in Yorkton's future. That's confidence in our province. Now, Mr. Speaker, we need to talk about rising inflation. Many working folks and small businesses are feeling the impacts of rising inflation. It's putting pressure on affordability for everything and everyone. When more dollars chase less goods, the price of everything rises and the purchasing power of each dollar is diminished. The reality is that inflation is the effect of monetary policies at other levels of government beyond our reach and even beyond our borders. Yet, it is creating an affordability challenge here in our province. But, Mr. Speaker, I'm proud to say our government is doing all the right things in response to these external pressures. We're attracting investment, diversifying our markets, supporting small businesses, lowering taxes on working folks, and enacting some of the most ambitious affordability measures. We're also helping keep at least one input cost low, energy. By committing to reliable, affordable energy, we are keeping it affordable for individuals to heat their homes and businesses to keep their lights on. That's what leadership looks like, and it's working. Saskatchewan is #1 in Canada for growth in capital investment. We have the lowest unemployment rate and the highest job growth in the nation. And thanks to our affordability measures, Saskatchewan workers pay among the lowest provincial income taxes in Canada. Now, Mr. Speaker, public safety and homelessness is a rising concern in Yorkton. Over the past year, I've had the opportunity to meet with the city, first responders, business owners, homeowners, and various community-based organizations to listen to their concerns. And they've all identified homelessness and public safety as a growing issue here in Yorkton. Now, just to zoom out for a moment, we are seeing a rise in addictions, homelessness, and crime, not only in our province, but nationwide. And these are issues that are more often than not interconnected. I appreciate the comment earlier that from across the aisle that folks here in Saskatchewan want to see our government both tough on crime and tough on the root causes of crime. I believe that summarizes things quite well. However, I'd like to point out that being tough on crime in large part depends on federal legislation. But instead of giving police and courts the tools they need to keep our streets safe, what we are seeing is our federal government tying their hands and violent repeat offenders being released over and over again. A huge part of what's really going on in our province is we are again experiencing the fallout of failed Liberal policies, this time on crime. Ultimately, I think it's fair to say we are at odds with Ottawa's approach to these issues. Whereas Ottawa targets law-abiding gun owners, we're focused on getting drug dealers off the streets. While they prioritize leniency for offenders, we prioritize protection for victims. Mr. Speaker, this has touched my life personally. Just a matter of weeks ago, there was a young woman that my wife and I know that we've known since she was a teenager, and now she's a young mother. And a young man who is known to be violent, who had committed violence before, in a fit of rage, assaulted her with a baseball bat, and ended up sending her to the hospital with a fractured skull and bone fragments in her eye socket. I'm so grateful that the prognosis is that she will recover without any permanent damage, but in reality, the situation could have been so much worse. That young man was apprehended by the police. He was charged, and today he is free. Most folks, including in Yorkton, are fed up with soft on crime policies. And that's why they'll be happy to know that our government is advocating with the federal government to be tougher on crime, to keep repeat offenders in prisons, off our streets. I often think, what about the safety of this young woman? What about her sense of safety? What about her rights? What about her protection? Folks in our province will be happy to know that our government is investing into putting more boots on the ground in areas that need it most. 180 new RCMP, 70 SAS marshals, 100 additional municipal police, 14 new scan personnel. Our government is committing to funding and hiring them all. Folks will be happy to know we are giving police and municipalities more tools to keep our communities safe through measures like the Safe Public Spaces Act and other legislative amendments. Our response to illicit drugs acts will focus on cracking down on illegal drugs. And these are just some of the measures that are aimed at improving public safety. This will all be welcome news in Yorkton. Now, Mr. Speaker, we cannot talk about public safety without talking about drug addiction. And that's why our government will be introducing what could be one of the most significant pieces of legislation this session, the Compassionate Intervention Act. This act will give families and communities the tools they need to get their loved one into treatment when that person is unable to seek treatment on their own and their addiction has become a danger to themselves and to others. Mr. Speaker, we know that so much of what we see on our streets and in our emergency rooms are the impact of drug addiction. Now, I come from the mental health world. I agree that drugs are not the root issue, that it is trauma. I agree that wraparound supports need to be in place to help individuals escape addiction and heal from their trauma. Anyone who's worked with addictions and trauma knows you cannot make a person change if they're not ready to. Yet while this is true, I've heard many former addicts testify that prison was the best thing that happened to me. I quote, "Prison was the best thing that happened to me because it forced me to get clean and sober." The truth is, for many people struggling with addiction, there are two minds. On the one hand, there's a person who deeply desires to be free from their addiction, to be present for their kids, to be able to live a healthy, flourishing life. And yet there's another mind at work, the mind of the addiction. The addiction, the alcohol, the meth, the fentanyl, it doesn't care who it hurts, who it lies to, who it uses, or whose safety is put at risk to get its next fix, its next high, its next hit. And all too often, more and more, we are seeing it's at the cost of that person's life. Mr. Speaker, I have former colleagues in mental health who work in communities where every week there's an overdose. And again, all too often, it's an overdose that results in death. As a former counselor, I've heard too many mothers and fathers bereaved of their child, their grandchild, their baby, lost to addiction. Mr. Speaker, I've sat with folks, and I quote, "I lost my baby. I lost him to addiction. Drugs took my son." How many times have we heard in recovery support groups, "I was not in control. My addiction had taken over my life"? You see, just as with the person who said that prison was the best thing that had happened to him, when the drug is in control, when the substance is in control of their mind, many people are not in the right mind. And without going into the detail, we have never seen a drug like meth before. It is a whole different beast. And so quite often there are folks with addiction who want to be free, but because of the power, the overwhelming power, the overwhelming destruction, and the damage of that addiction and of that substance, they cannot make the decision. They don't have the authentic opportunity to make a decision for themselves to be free. They're driven by the need to have more of that substance. Mr. Speaker, I remember speaking with a mother who was overwhelmingly grateful to hear that her son was in prison, and she was desperate for him to not be released, because there, at least he was safe, away from the dangers that often come with drugs. Mr. Speaker, there are times, there are circumstances, there are situations where the most compassionate thing we can do is intervene. Families and communities, officers, first responders, many who serve in these spaces are hopeful that the Compassionate Intervention Act that our government is introducing, that it will make a difference. Perhaps save a life, perhaps save many lives. Mr. Speaker, finally, when we talk about security, one of the most important things I want to move on to security and what it means to the people of Yorkton. When we talk about security, one of the most important things people in Yorkton are asking for is secure access to healthcare. Over the past year, I've had the privilege of meeting with so many constituents, hearing their experiences, their needs, and their concerns. I've met with our Health Foundation, local SHA leadership, union representatives, nurses, and frontline staff, and I can tell you, improving access to healthcare remains one of the top priorities for Yorkton, and therefore it is one of my top priorities as their MLA. Much of this past year has been spent working closely with our cabinet ministers to advocate for Yorkton's healthcare needs. And while every province is facing challenges in recruiting and retaining healthcare professionals, I am proud that Saskatchewan is making real progress. Since our government took bold and aggressive steps to attract, hire, train, and retain the healthcare professionals we need, 346 more doctors and over 2,000 more nurses are now working in Saskatchewan. And Yorkton is seeing that progress firsthand. Since last year, Yorkton has welcomed new physicians, new nurse practitioners, and new healthcare workers, as well as an additional seat for local residency training. Since November of last year, 48 external healthcare professionals have been recruited to the Yorkton area. 3 new family physicians have begun practice, and 3 more, including a general surgeon, are preparing to start soon. In addition, a new medical clinic has opened on Broadway, providing a full range of services. And most recently, Yorkton has received an additional family medicine core residency seat, which matters to a community like Yorkton because doctors who train here are far more likely to stay here. Mr. Speaker, for the people of Yorkton, securing healthcare also means building our new hospital. As the MLA for Yorkton, ensuring this project gets underway is one of my highest priorities. Our new regional hospital is not a luxury, it's a necessity. And our population is aging and the demand for services is growing. That's why I'm pleased to see planning dollars flowing into this project, both last year and this year. Our government has already approved and initiated planning, and I've personally hosted the Minister of Health and the Minister of Rural and Remote Health in Yorkton multiple times to advance this critical project. For Yorkton, the planning and design of our new regional health centre are already in motion. This hospital will not only serve Yorkton, it will serve the entire Parkland region. And this, along with our continued efforts to increase surgeries performed and reduce waiting times, is just one of our government's broader commitment to securing healthcare for every family in Saskatchewan. Strong, safe, secure. Mr. Speaker, that is not just a slogan, it's a promise. And as Psalms 46 reads, "Though nations are in disorder, God is our refuge and strength." Mr. Speaker, may God be our refuge and our strength here in Saskatchewan. With his help, we will remain strong, safe, and secure. I will be supporting the motion. I will not be supporting the amendment. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.